welcome to the second segment of Fire Your MD. You know what they say, fortune favors the bold and apparently the persistent, because we did it, folks. We dialed in PJ all the way from Australia. Welcome aboard, PJ. How's it going?
Hi there, Dr. Glidden. How are you today?
Fantastic. I'm going to give you a round of applause, PJ. Sit tight. Come on, bring it on, baby. You got to love it all the way from Australia. You got to be kidding me. Talk about persistence. PJ, you're the greatest here, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing for us, everything that's going on down there in Australia. How's it going, by the way?
Very hot.
Very hot, yeah. It's your summer down there. No flu in Australia now, is there?
Actually, there is.
There is? You're getting... people have the flu in Australia right now?
Yes, they have.
Really? Is it going around, or is it just a couple of isolated incidents?
I think there's a few getting it, but I think the heat's affecting people more than what the flu is at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
let's cut to the...
Yeah, let's go. What's on your mind? How can I help?
I have a 63-year-old male. He's 5'9". He weighs 205 pounds.
Yep.
He's a farmer.
Yeah.
6 years ago, he was diagnosed with chronic lymphatic leukemia.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything except monitoring him every 6 months with blood tests.
Yeah.
And they told him that he had to keep his readings under 27.
Yep.
Oh, no, under 30, and they've got up to 27. That's
all right.
The metric values, I assume.
Okay.
What can we do for him?
All right. Well, this is there's a lot that we can do for him. And this, just opens up a big can of worms, and it really underlines the MD. And this is an Australian MD, folks. So look, an Australian MD, no different than an American MD, no different than a Spanish MD or a French MD or an MD in the UK. It's all the same stuff all around the world, right? They're not taught any different therapeutics. It's one giant club. They're all taught the same stuff. They all look at the world in the same way, no matter what country they live in, if they have an MD after their name. So the MDs are faced with someone who has cancer. They have chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is cancer. And their recommendation is just go away. Don't do anything different. We can't treat you until it gets to a certain level of badness. Once it's at a certain level of badness, then we can treat it. But we can't treat it until it gets to a certain level of badness, which is insane on its face, but is par for the course in MD world. Why is it par for the course in MD world? Because they're trained to believe once you're sick, you're screwed. Your body can't fix itself. So, in the case of cancer, we know that the therapy is going to be harsh. We know that the therapy is going to probably cause more damage than the cancer does. It's not going to work anyway, but it's all we've got. So we're going to be compassionate, and we're not going to invoke our therapeutic nonsense until you're really bad off. I mean, it's nonsense. But this is what passes as the standard of care in the world. Now, chronic lymphocytic, and it's just one more reason why everybody needs to fire their MD. It's insanity. It is insanity. It doesn't just happen with this. It also happens with arthritis. It happens with depression. It happens with blood sugar issues. MDs only intervene once it's at a certain point of painfulness. They just let you suffer and don't do anything about it. Because from their point of view, there's nothing you can do about it, because once you're sick, you're screwed. The body can't fix itself. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia is a type of cancer of white blood cells, and it starts in the bone marrow. if you cut your arm in half, with a chainsaw, you just lop your arm off. Heaven forbid, don't do that. If you lop your arm off and look at the bone, if you look at the cross-section of the bone, there's a red bullseye in the middle of the bone. That's the bone marrow. It's in long bones, your arm bones, your leg bones. It's bone marrow. That's where blood cells get made, inside the bone marrow. Now, leukemia, lymphocytic leukemia, often is a misdiagnosis. And again, MDs just believe whatever their colleague tells them without really following it up. The only way you can diagnose lymphocytic leukemia is if you look at the white blood cells under a microscope. And it's not that easy to be able to detect a cancer cell, and there are any number of different variations on a healthy cell between a healthy cell, a healthy white blood cell, and a cancerous white blood cell. So it's easy for somebody to make a misdiagnosis. It's one of the intermediary cells. It's not really a leukemia cell, but they had too much tequila the night before, or they're gorked out of their mind on Prozac or on some other prescription medicine, or they're injecting cocaine because they're addicted to it, because of their work schedule at the hospital. They haven't been caught yet, like Lance Armstrong. They just haven't caught him yet. Well, now we did catch Lance Armstrong, but you get where I'm coming from. So, it's possible that he doesn't even have it, that it's been a misdiagnosis. But even if it is a definitive diagnosis, what our perception of this disease is that we trace everything back to the root. And what is it that causes this? Well, it's a facultative breakdown of the bone marrow. Well, why is there a facultative breakdown in the bone marrow? Well, because there's not enough minerals and nutrients to keep the bone marrow healthy. So, when you don't have enough nutrition to keep the bone marrow healthy, the body starts to infiltrate the bone marrow with connective tissue. It doesn't have enough stuff to make bone marrow. It's got to put something in that cavity, so it fills the cavity in with connective tissue. And when the bone marrow cavity is infiltrated with connective tissue, the bone marrow starts to make funky cells because there's connective tissue in the way. It's gumming up the works. And when there's connective tissue in the way, gumming up the works, the white blood cells that are produced are going to be unhealthy and they're going to be funky. And then eventually they'll turn into cancer cells. So, what we do, remember, we can't treat cancer. That's against the law, so we're not treating cancer. Not even by a long shot. But what we are doing is providing the body with fundamental nutrition so that it can optimize its health and hopefully recover its health to the maximum degree available, depending on this person's life at this moment on the planet. So what do? We give bone support, we give joint support, we give bone marrow support. And before I tell you how to do that, during the break, I went to PubMed, which is the government's medical database. It's a really great place to poke around if you're at all scientifically inclined. And I did a PubMed search for a sea vegetable called fucoidan. And fucoidan is the product that's inside two products that Longevity sells. One is encapsulated fucoidan. It's called Fucoid Z. And the other is fucoidan inserted inside a super juice, 32 ounces of a super juice called Z Radical. The Z Radical has 50 milligrams of fucoidan per dose. The fucoidan has 100 milligrams of fucoidan per capsule. Now, I did a quick PubMed search and pulled up there have been over 1,000 published studies on the positive effects of fucoidan, which is derived from sea vegetables, kelp, basically. Over 1,000 published studies on fucoidan. And 109 of those are on cancer, and 4 of those were on lymphocytic leukemia. So the research clearly shows that fucoidan has a positive impact on lymphocytic leukemia and on many different types of cancer. As a matter of fact, it induces something called apoptosis, which is pre-programmed cell death of cancer cells. That's a pretty cool thing. So, if I was given a diagnosis of any type of cancer, and I'm 200 pounds, I would do 8 bottles of Z Radical a month. 8 bottles. If I could afford it, I'd do 10 bottles of Z-Radical a month. If I could afford it, I'd do 12 bottles of Z-Radical a month. Do as much Z-Radical as he can afford every month, number one. Number two, 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium per month. 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium per month. Number 3, 2 healthy start packs per month. 2 healthy start packs per month, and 4 bottles of glucogel. 4 bottles of glucogel a month at the 240 count. 4 bottles of glucogel a month at the 240 count. 2 healthy start packs, 4 bottles of selenium, and as much Z-Radical as he can possibly afford. That's the supplements I want him to take for the next 6 months. Period. No argument. I don't care if he has to mortgage his house. I don't care if he has to sell his sheep herd. I don't care if he has to rent out 100 acres in the South Paddy in order to finance this. This is what I want him to do for 6 months. And, of course, you know this, PJ, because you've been doing this longer than anybody in Australia, and God bless you for taking a stand down under. Him, you, me, everybody else in our world must be gluten-free. And he must avoid 100% the 10 bad foods. And you know the rundown. No fried food, no oil in a bottle, no wheat, barley, rye, and oats, no well-done red meat. It might be hard in Australia. If you're going to cook stuff on the barbie, wrap it in aluminum foil so you don't get the grill marks. Because the grill marks are carcinogenic agents called heterocyclic amines. So no well-done red meat. If you cook meat on the grill, wrap it in aluminum foil so you don't get the burn marks. No oil in a bottle, no fried food, no nitrates added as preservatives to meat, no carbonated beverages with a meal, and last but not least, I want him to eliminate any extracurricular sugars from his diet. Any extracurricular sugars. All right? I'm not even sure that he has leukemia. It might be a misdiagnosis. You might want to get a second opinion from another hospital, send them the blood sample, and get them to look and see what they think. Try those supplements for 6 months, PJ, and call us back every couple of months with an update. Hopefully it'll be easier to get you on board next time. Thank you for your persistence. You are the last best hope Australia has for living a long and healthy life, so go out there and get her done, PJ. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. We are international. You really should check out the webinars that I do. Just go to fireyourmdnow.com. Click on the online health recovery program. Sign up, $17 a month. That price is going to go up. We haven't found a hard and fast date yet, but it's going to be sometime in February the price is going to go up. So if you lock in a yearly subscription at $17 a month, you're probably going to save $50-$60. So check it out. And as a subscriber, you have access to 4 live webinars that I do. 2 of the webinars are on health issues and the longevity business opportunity, the longevity health opportunity, and live chats that I have. So you can just be in a chat room and ask me any question you'd like about health or disease-specific information, and I will do my very best to answer the question. It's a lot of fun. And the best thing about it is that it's a group experience, This is why people still go to the movies. Why do we still go to the movies and pay $10 for a movie ticket and $10 for a box of Junior Mints, or $12 for a small little thing of popcorn, when we can sit at home and download the thing through Netflix for a fraction of the price? Why do we do that? Because we like to be involved in group activities. That's just the way that we are wired. We like hanging out with other human beings. When, if you can't hang out with living, breathing human beings in the same room, which is the best way to do it, the next best way is virtually on a group webinar. It's great. People from all over the country, people from all over Canada, people from all over the world. I mean, it's really a fantastic group experience. You really have to be there to see what's going on, so check it out. FireYourMDNow.com and join our online health recovery program. You're going to love it. We're going right back to the phones now with Canada. Canada's on the line with Chad. Chad, thanks for the call. You are live.
Okay, so just before my question, I just wanted to tell you that I had a slap tear my labrum in my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I've been on board now for 3.5 months or so.
Yeah.
And I can't even feel it. I canceled my surgery.
Now, before you started with us, man, on a scale of 1 to 10, what was the pain or the sensation like there?
Like a lot of popping, and I couldn't throw. I could hardly lift weights anymore. Like, I had to really limit myself to what I could do. To now I can throw a ball, no problem. It's perfect. No popping.
You're back to normal, right?
Yeah. 4 months, I mean, I was fairly healthy to begin with, and I only got on your program just like on the longevity program. I was fairly healthy anyway. Didn't have a whole lot of health concerns, but I thought that I might give it a try, and that really, really helped.
Well, you got to love it. And this is the thing, Chad, man, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. And really, this is what most people that come into longevity and then they decide to be a business builder and they really decide to, start to become active at spreading this message. When they first came in, they didn't want anything to do with the business, right? They just wanted help with a health issue, a little minor health issue. And then they had such a remarkable experience with it.
That's me. I'm joining now. So
you got to love it, man. Well, God bless you and good work. So good job.
So I got two quick questions for you, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, shoot.
Okay. I'm not totally gluten free. My girlfriend, before I started listening to you, was pretty much gluten free as best she could. But she had, I don't know if this makes sense. You're probably going to say no, but is it okay to have a little bit of gluten in your diet? Because I travel a lot and it's hard to avoid, and I just don't want to have a negative reaction if I'm completely gluten free and I have to eat it. Does that make sense or no? Yeah,
well, it makes sense, but you haven't really thought it through, right? That's like saying, hey, doc, is it okay if I have a little bit of arsenic? Just a little bit of arsenic a couple times a week. Now, you're probably right that if you don't avoid it 100%, you won't desensitize to it. So it's still going to be hurting you, but you're just not really going to be aware that it's hurting you, right? Now, and here's the other thing, Chad, and this is worthwhile talking about.
Okay, that makes sense. So the answer is get off gluten.
Yeah, but let's think it through, right? Because, I don't want you to get off gluten just because I tell you to. I want you to get off gluten because you get it, right? Can you still hear me? Are we still good here? Hello, Chad.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Chad. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm still here. We need some audio help. We're coming up against a hard break anyway, ladies and gentlemen. We can't seem to get the sound stuff dialed in today. I guess we're having technical difficulties. But stick with me. I'm going to tell Chad what he can do when we come back in order to get on the other side of this health issue, which I believe he wanted to talk about a hernia. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting it figured out here in the technical department. Hey, welcome back, Dr. Peter Glidden. This is the last half hour of Fire Your MD now on this Friday, the 18th day of January 2013. My, oh my, how time flies, right? Now, we got disconnected with Chad. For goodness sake, we're having all kinds of technical difficulties today. Maybe our switchboard just doesn't like the international callers. But I kind of think that's got nothing to do with it. Chad, I'm only a little bit psychic, so I'm going to answer your questions, hopefully with you not there, and then we're going to move right on to Tim from California. So here we go. Here's the deal with the gluten-free thing, right? It's hard, and it is hard, but really it's the type of a thing that once you get into the swing of it, it's a no-brainer. It's only hard for the first 4, 5, 6 weeks until you get used to it, and then, again, it's a no-brainer. Now, if someone knocked on your door and you opened it and they said, hi, I'm from Publishers Clearinghouse, and we have a new giveaway. You're going to get $1 million in 30 days if, for this 30 days, you can be 100% gluten-free. And then they put a little sensor around your neck to detect whether or not you've eaten gluten. Those don't really exist, but just go with me here, all right? For $1 million in 30 days, I'm pretty sure you would avoid gluten 100%. Now, if you do it for $1 million, why won't you do it for your health? Don't you think you're worth $1 million? You won't do it for your health because you don't understand how bad it is. For goodness sake, you wouldn't drink poison every day. You wouldn't drink rat poison because, that's bad for your health. And people's unwillingness to go all in on the no gluten thing is a reflection of our education, or lack thereof, because we just haven't had it lined up for us. It's a new idea, and it takes a while for the brain to wrap itself around a new idea. And quite frankly, I think folks like Chad, that they're kind of slow and steady, and they put their toe in the water and they test it, and I'll be 80% gluten free. I kind of like that approach because it's like the people from Missouri. It's show me. I'm going to try it, but show me. All right. So the recommendation here, Chad, is 100%, baby. And once you do go 100%, you're going to love the way that it makes you feel. And then when you fall off the bandwagon, and everybody does, there is going to come a moment in your life when you're just going to fall off the bandwagon, either because you forgot or you're at a party and there's nothing else to eat or whatever. You're just going to get hammered by the gluten in the future, and then you're going to go, oh my God, Glidden was right. All right, so now, I think Chad had a follow-up question about hernias, and what happens when you get a hernia is a part of your small intestine. Sometimes it can be your large intestine, but most of the time it's your small intestine, pokes through the little muscle sheath. So, if you did a cross-section of your abdomen, you could put somebody on a table saw and cut them in half, like the magicians do, and you look inside their body, you see the intestines are in the middle, and then surrounding the intestinal tract is a little tiny sheath of connective tissue, and then surrounding that is the muscles, and then surrounding that is the skin. So when you get a hernia, what happens is a part of your intestinal tract punches through the connective tissue, little membrane, and then the muscle. Well, how can that happen? Because the connective tissue in the muscle is weak, or, you've lifted something too heavy and the strain of that just made the abdominal contents force their way through the muscle and that little connective tissue sheath. Either way, though, this speaks to a fundamental underlying weakness in that part of the body. Well, what causes a fundamental underlying weakness to that part of the body? Guess what? It's not a bad gene, right? You know that by now. It's nutrient deficiencies. This isn't rocket science. This is why, from the proper perspective, everything is easy. And if you've been listening to this show for more than a couple of weeks, more than a couple of months, all of a sudden new vistas in your mind start to open up because you go, oh my God, everything is easy from the proper perspective. That makes sense. Holy smokes, the muscles and the connective tissue in the gut are weak. Well, what makes them weak? Not enough nutrients. Now, specifically, in this arena, the thing that we think about first is not enough copper. Because your body needs copper to make connective tissue elastic and to make muscles elastic. And, if a muscle isn't elastic, it's easy for it to break. And you want to prove it to yourself? Well, get a rubber band, get an elastic band, and put it in the microwave. And, microwave it for 15 seconds. It'll dry it out. And then you take it out and try to snap it, pull it and make it stretch. It'll snap like a dry twig because it's lost its elasticity. So when the connective tissue or the muscles in your body lose their elasticity, it's easy for the underlying stuff to poke through. So we give copper. But we don't just give copper, do we? Copper is one of the 90 essential nutrients, so you need all 90 plus a little extra copper. And copper has an intimate relationship with selenium, the same way that magnesium has an intimate relationship with calcium. So if I'm giving somebody extra copper, I have to offset that with giving extra selenium. Because if I don't, I'll upset the balance in the human body. So the recommendation for people with hernias is healthy start packs appropriate for their body weight and selenium appropriate for their body weight, and of course the gluten-free diet. Now, sometimes the body has reached its point of no return. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, every time when you break a leg or break a bone in the body, that bone has to be set and you got to put a cast around it in order to make it heal. Not every time with hernias do you need surgery. And I'm not even going to make numbers up here. I don't know if it's 10% of the time or 20% of the time that you need surgery because it's really gone beyond the body's ability to fix it. But there is a physical manipulation technique, kind of like a deep tissue massage technique called the Bowen technique. B like baby, O-W-E-N, the Bowen technique. So if you're suffering from a hernia and you want to try to avoid surgery, change your diet, get the Healthy Start Pack and the selenium, and take it. And find somebody in your neck of the woods who practices the Bowen technique and go to them for a couple of visits and see what they think. Because then when you have a professional in physical medicine who's able to actually palpate your abdomen and feel what's going on, they'll be able to give you a heads up as, this is really beyond the scope of what I can do and you need surgery. And remember, you can't never unsurgery something. And if you ever really do need surgery, it's much better for you to go into the surgical theater with a body that's strong and nutrified. Because surgery is a stress. And your body is more able to handle that or any other stress if it's been properly nutrified for a couple of months beforehand. So either way, the nutritional supplementation is a no-brainer and it's mandatory. So check it out. Find somebody who practices the Bowen technique and get yourself assessed. But either way, you have to change your diet and do the 90 essential nutrients plus extra selenium. Sound good, Robin Hood? I think it does. By the way, the Canadians are really taking this longevity ball and running with it. We need to kick up our game here in the United States if we're going to compete with them in Canada. And you know who I think is the man for that job? Abby in Miami. You better watch out for Abby in Miami, Canada. He's nipping at your heels. We're going right now to California with Tim. Tim's calling with a question about cancer. It's cancer. Must be Cancer Week here at fireyourmd.com. Thanks for dialing in, Tim. You are live. Hello, Tim. Hey, here we go, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, good. Welcome aboard. How can I help?
I got a mother-in-law that's 85. She just went through chemotherapy for the ovarian cancer, and I need to know what to get her on. She's 90. She weighs 90 pounds.
All right. So, you should get my book, The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. You should open up the chapter on cancer. You can download that to Kindle, for $10, and you can be reading it in 5 minutes at Amazon.com. You can also just go right through my website and get it. But what I'm trying to get at here, is in my book they have a short little chapter on cancer, and there are 10 questions in that cancer chapter that every cancer patient needs to ask their cancer doctor before or during their treatment. Because cancer doctors prescribe treatments just because that's what they do. And if people start asking them hardball questions about the side effects and the effectiveness and what I can expect and this, that, and the other thing, just nice, normal, polite questions, most people will then not get the chemotherapy. My mother had chemotherapy. My mother had ovarian cancer. And it was the chemotherapy that killed her. It wasn't the ovarian cancer. I have intimate experience with this particular illness, and I am aghast at what passes for good medical treatment when it comes to this illness. The MD's got nothing for this but pain and suffering. So, having said that, what I tried to get my mother to do, which she wouldn't, to support and promote the health of her body in the face of a diagnosis of ovarian cancer, because remember, we can't treat cancer. We don't treat cancer. We don't treat anything. All we do is give the body stuff, get out of the way, and see what happens. So the recommendation at 100 pounds would be 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per month, 4 bottles of selenium per month, and if she can afford it, 10 bottles of Z-Radical a month. If she can't afford that, it's 9 bottles of Z-Radical. If she can't afford that, it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever is in the budget. Z-Radical is a mandatory supplement here. As a matter of fact, I would rather see her do Z-Radical than the Healthy Start Pack. There, I said it out loud. How about that? But for cancers, we really need to up the game with the fucoidan, and that's in the Z-Radical. You get extra ORAC points because it's in a super juice, so that's really the way to go, as much as she can afford. And, of course, this against the background of the diet. Everybody eliminates the 10 bad foods from their diet. That's what I would do. And there is a homeopathic medicine. It's called Nux Vomica. That's N like Nancy, U, X like X-ray, second word V like Victor, O, M like Mary, I, C, A. Nux Vomica. It's a homeopathic medicine. You can find it at a Whole Foods probably, and I'd like you to try to secure this in the 200C or the 200CK strength. Nux Vomica, 200C or 200CK. You can give that to people post-chemotherapy. 2 pellets, 3 times a day for a couple of days. You only usually need to do this for 1 day. 2 pellets under the tongue 3 times a day. Post-chemotherapy to really help people recover from nausea and vomiting and gastrointestinal upset post-chemotherapy. It's a fantastic assistance for people post-chemo because one of the leading side effects post-chemo is nausea and vomiting, and you just feel like crap. Homeopathic Nux Vomica is often a wonder drug to help people get on the other side of that. But, you know, the best thing that people need to do is not do the treatment in the first place, because why? It doesn't work. You're welcome to your own opinion, just not your own set of facts. And when it comes to vaccination, the deck is stacked against the use of vaccination for anything. Next week I'm going to touch a little bit in the beginning of the week on other vaccinations and what's going on with that. I'm going to try to get Dr. Sherry Tenpenny here. I want to, in parting for this week, I just want to read you a list of cases. This is a partial list of cases that were awarded damages by the U.S. government via something that they dreamed up called the Vaccine Court, which is a federal court of claims for the flu vaccine. It's not for any other vaccine. These damages were awarded because of acute and chronic diseases and death, which were attributed to the flu vaccine. And this is just in 2012. Just in 2012. You ready? You got your tissues out? Because, this is going to make you cry. The trivalent influenza vaccine caused Guillain-Barré syndrome to Darrell Aldrich, August 31st, 2012. Flu vaccine caused Guillain-Barré syndrome in Ray Sizemore, was awarded damages August 27th, 2012. Neuropathy and myelopathy awarded August 27th, 2012 to someone HG. They didn't give their full name. The influenza vaccine caused acute demyelinating encephalomyelitis to Pamela A. Gouge as parent and legal representative of her minor daughter, Megan Elizabeth Gouge, and that judgment was awarded August 17th, 2012. Encephalopathy, brain lesions, occurred in Lee Hames, and he was awarded compensation August 16th, 2012. Guillain-Barré syndrome and CIDP occurred in Deborah E. Bradley, and she was awarded compensation 8/16/2012. Miller-Fisher, there's a weird little disease called the Miller-Fisher variant of Guillain-Barré syndrome that was awarded to Terry East, August 1st, 2012. The trivalent influenza flu vaccine caused Guillain-Barré syndrome to Dessa Stevileski, and she was awarded compensation in July 31st, 2012. The trivalent influenza vaccine is the same one they're pushing now. Influenza vaccine caused acute demyelinating encephalomyelitis. The trivalent influenza vaccine, and also caused Guillain-Barré syndrome in Teresa Lynch, and she was awarded compensation July 24th, 2012. The influenza vaccine caused Guillain-Barré syndrome to Richard D. Hummel, and he was awarded compensation on July 24th, 2012. The flu vaccine caused encephalomyeloneuropathy to Laura LaRue, and she was awarded compensation July 12, 2012. The flu vaccine caused an allergic reaction and progressive upper respiratory tract infections to Dwight Munger, and he was awarded compensation July 12, 2012. The influenza virus caused generalized itching, which sounds trivial, but it's not, to Patricia Morrow, and she was awarded compensation July 11, 2012. Guillain-Barré syndrome, Mona Menking. Guillain-Barré syndrome, Daniel Irwin. Guillain-Barré syndrome, Thomas Keefe. Neurological abnormalities and transverse myelitis, Lisa Burrell. June 28, 2012. Transverse myelitis, Carolyn Lynn Gerner. June 25th, 2012. Acute hearing loss, vertigo, caused by the trivalent influenza vaccine, the one they're peddling now. Joseph Mouse was awarded compensation on June 22nd, 2012. Now here we get to the deaths. Are you still with me? I mean, isn't this just unbelievable? Flu vaccine caused the death of Drago Potishik. Flu vaccine caused the death of Deborah K. Steele. Their families were awarded compensation in May of 2012. The list goes on, ladies and gentlemen. Who are you going to trust? You going to trust the doctor, or you going to trust God? Trust God. What do I mean by that? Your body has a built-in God-given intelligence. Naturopathic therapeutics support your body's God-given intelligence. Man-made flu vaccines mess with it. Fire your MD. Fire your MD now and join us at Longevity. We will change your life for the better. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. See you next week and have a fantastic drug-free weekend.